I went to my job. While working that morning, a white man standing talking to a bunch of other men said, loud enough for me to hear, if I have to leave here and give my place to a nigger, I'll certainly kill me a lot of niggers before I'll go. All the white men in the crowd turned and glared at me in so menacing a fashion that I lost my nerve completely. I went home immediately. I threw up that job. Now I am looking for employment.
Immediately following the program, white workers at Scott Air Force Base refused to work with black workers. And all of the black workers on then the Belleville airfield were dismissed.
I think a large part of the people sympathize with the rioters and are glad that the riots occurred. I have heard expressions on the streetcar of a man who said it was a fine thing. He said that it was the best way to treat the niggers, that it was the way to teach them respect, and said that it was the best thing that ever happened to this town.
When I talked to my parents and other people, that they were very proud of their response in shooting back at white people. They attacked us, but we didn't just, sit back and let them.
Black folks were not just victims, they were also agents or actors on in their own rights. They were instrumental in making Black East St. Louis thrive before and, more importantly, after the pogrom. And the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People was instrumental in publicizing what went on in East St. Louis. The silent march was mainly of African Americans, men, women, and children, dressed in all white, quiet. There were a few people just beating a drum, almost like a funeral procession. The official record said only 38 black men, women, and children were killed. We don't know how many were thrown in Cahokia Creek, or maybe they were thrown in the Mississippi River. And there are rumors of mass graves. Yes, I know the newspapers talk about Potter Fields, where the unknown were taken, but they didn't say how many.
The issue of 300 black people being killed in East St. Louis, well, the history told, the oral history by the survivors say it was a lot more. They speak of more like 800 to 1,200 people. There were family members that we lost and nobody knows where they are.
These people were not counted because they weren't considered important enough. There was just so many people who just didn't want to know the true story.
127 members of the mob arrested while rioting, when brought to court, were discharged. The state's attorney publicly declared there could be no successful prosecution.
The people who perpetrated the pogrom, the higher-ups, nothing happened to them. They were all in cahoots. They protected each other. Nothing happened to Mayor Moorman. He was allowed to end this term.
There were 6 police officers who were accused of basically inciting a riot, and several with actually committing murders of African Americans. There was a deal set forth where if they all agreed to basically a misdemeanor charge, that the more serious charges would be dismissed. And they basically decided that 3 of them had to be convicted of the less serious charges, so they drew lots. And they were fined $150, and they split the amount as far as paying it off.